Blog Talk Radio.
Shalom, Lekulam. Peace to everyone. Welcome to the Reset Button Season 3. This season, we welcome the listener to join us while we journey through Isaiah, one of the most controversial books in the Word. We would like to accomplish understanding of the salvation of Israel mentioned. Is it one spoken of in the New Testament? Is it someone we're waiting on? Or is it in the past? Walk through this with us as we attempt to uncover this mystery. The call-in number is 516-595-8238. And press 1 at any time that you have questions or that you would like to leave a comment. Our collective email is histaught1talkradio@gmail.com. Our Facebook page is His Taught Ones and His Taught Ones Talk Radio. We also have the YouTube page at His Taught Ones Talk Radio. Subscribe and we'll be posting our episodes every week. Shalom and have a good show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another season of His Taught Ones. Talmidim, yo, here we go, back at it again. You did, yeah, yourself, Shema and some friends. We learned hard through better sheets, the Melechim. Now fresh start to what is hot. I never yin, yeah. Here come the prophets, they're dropping some knowledge, abolishing doctrines, apology nonsense. They bring the word, you can call them the pinpoint, given by the hand of the head. He is the pinpoint, yeah. Or could it be it's another? So many differences from the children, it's a misnomer. Honestly, the aroma is hideously unbearable. There is no one accord. How dare we say that we're hearing you? I don't wanna see
Israel, Holy One of Israel. Anachnu modim lecha al yom nosaf we al milah. We thank you for another day and for your word. Barech bivakasha et ha-mifkash hazeh. Please bless this gathering. Bo'u nishmiah. Let us say Amen. Amen.
Ooh, that was hot. That was hot.
I didn't even hear. I didn't hear none of y'all work, man, and I heard it now. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Hey,
that's how we bring it in the season.
Yeah. Welcome to the Taught Ones, man, and giving credit to the other two brothers, man. Yeshayahu mixed and mastered it. We're just trying to get a little better, and let me know what y'all think, as far as, y'all comment or whatever. This is a season where, coming up from last season, it's the final, the final finale, we want more participation, all right? So that's what we talked about. Let's see if we can get that going. I believe Yeshayahu and Shema did a great job. He put the music behind the thing. I like the little echo thing. I just want to just give him some ups. You know what I mean? Because that was the first time I heard it. So, you know what I mean? We live, so this is how we get down. So, man, if y'all would just show y'all appreciation, you know what I mean? When y'all hear it, shout outs to this man. He put some work into it. And I could just see progression in everything he do, even with the graphics and stuff. So And if y'all did miss it, just go back and watch or listen to the intro. And I'm going to say it again. They going to hear the intro. You know, I ain't tripping. But I thought it was hot. Anyway, we here. We're here at Isaiah. Starting out, we're going to do 3 chapters this week. Just like we always do. We don't speed through things. We only got a platform for a couple hours. So it's impossible to get through all of Isaiah. But just like we've been going through everything else, we want to make sure that we take our time. We want to make sure that we give time for people to say stuff. And, of course, if we get to those chapters where we do more or it doesn't happen often where we have to do less, we just, we take it as it we come. So somewhat of my intro, all I'm going to say is I'm excited about today's show. It's a lot of stuff going on. It's a lot of stuff in there that I want to bring out. I want to see what these brothers bringing out. I've been waiting for Isaiah for a while. They know I already got chapters picked out. I told them boys I'm going to give them a day before I pick my next one, and then my next one, and then my next one. But I'm gonna let Yeshayahu start, and then Shemai, you go ahead after that with your intro, and then we can kind of get it rolling after that.
Hey, you want to let Shemai go first? That way, after I'm done, I could just jump straight to chapter 1.
Oh, well, that'll work for me then. Shemai, you got it.
Oh, man. I'm just ready to get it started, man. I appreciate those of you that's tuning in or those that tuning in online as well. I just say that to be prepared, man, take meticulous and intricate notes on this. And if you just came in, please go and check out the combinational intro we all did, man. I didn't even hear these brothers do it. You know what I'm saying? Yosef came in with a full circle. You know what I'm saying? With the mission statement, man, with so much enthusiasm, so much drama, so much animation involved in his delivery. I loved it. And I just want to comment on that, y'all. So give me a second. And then the back piece, the music behind it that Yeshayahu put in there, that was awesome, man. And then, you got Yeshayahu that came with the Hebrew, you know what I'm saying? Oh, my goodness. Came with the Hebrew and then backed it up with the English to let y'all know exactly what was said. And then the effect within it, that was hot, man. So I think that this season, that's a great start. That shows how this season is going to come and go with that enthusiasm that we all displayed in that combinational intro to the show. That is introducing what we are about to be used, in this process of contextual study. So I'm just excited. I'm happy. I'm ready. Let's go.
That's what's up, man. I'm just blessed. I just want to say, Toda La'el, thank God, that we all are here. We were able to make it through the week. This week was very busy for me, so I just thank the Most High that I was able to find time to, do all that. And it wasn't just me, all the brothers pitched in as we said we was going to do, and I just did the finishing work to it, but I'm just glad we were all. Shemai, he got that song, this brother work, and he was able to find the time to stick to what he said he was going to do, and he said he was going to produce a new song. The song is hot. I just want to let the brother know it. And I like how he threw our names in there. And, I mean, it was like he said, very dramatic, as he would say. And, I like the energy he had with the thing when he sent it to me. And I just so happened to have a perfect beat that I already had
So when I put it on there, I was like, yep, that's it. You know, it kind of got that Middle Eastern sound in it a little bit. So, I liked it. And the prayer part, I mean, the Most High I feel like he gave me the words to say. And I will say, man, I felt more fluent like when I spoke it this time. I didn't feel like I stumbled over any words that I was trying to say. So I agree when Shema say that, it's a perfect start, perfect beginning, I feel like right now, and I just feel very enthused and excited to get this thing started. So, like he said, let's go. Bonelech, So, I have chapter 1, and just before I get started, what I would like to let everybody know, as me and Brother Mercy kind of dialogued on the finale, what I tried to do is kind of steer away from reading directly from a translation. So, shout out to Brother Mercy. What I did was I kind of went into the Hebrew. I also looked at various translations, and I'm not going to read directly from a translation. I'm going to share my notes, which is kind of general of what is being said. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do. I mean, I'm not going to lie to y'all. It takes a lot of work. A week's time on top of work, school, I'm going to college, trying to learn Hebrew, being a full-time husband, father, all that stuff, it takes a toll on you. So I did the best I could with the majority of the material that we're going over. I was not able to accomplish all 3 chapters of just translating everything. So you might hear me read from a translation on portions that I wasn't able to translate myself. But for the most part, a lot of it's just general. If it seems to sound a little different from the translation that you're reading from, all you got to do is press 1 and ask a question, make a comment, whatever, we can deal with it. I don't think we could spend a lot of time on it, but what I could do, if it's something that you see grossly different than what you're reading, I can go live on the Facebook page, or I could put a video up and we could walk through it and I could show you how I got exactly what I got, and then that way it'd be no confusion. All right, without further ado, chapter 1. Pull up my notes here. All right, so the way I kind of did my notes this time is like how I started to transition into with the last few chapters of 2 Kings. But the first thing I think is very important in us going over this is to establish the context. And so the context, when we're going off of verse 1, okay, we see a vision of, and this is me translating it, basically, a vision of Isaiah or Yeshayahu, in which he saw concerning Judah or Yehuda and Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, in the days of Uzziah, Yotam, Ahaz, and just follow along, like if these names sounds crazy to you in your English version. Yehizkiyahu, that's Hezekiah, kings of Yehuda, Okay? So, in context, one, we know this is a vision of Isaiah. Two, we know who the vision pertains to, Judah and Jerusalem, in which, it's going to be confirmed in the content of the chapter that is who this is pertaining to. All right. Three, we have a time frame of the vision, because it tells us in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah. So that also lets you know it takes us right back to Judah, because it said kings of Judah. It ain't got nothing to do with the kingdom of Israel. This is strictly because we know when we was reading Kings there was a split, and one was the house of Israel, and then we had the house of Judah. So this is dealing with Judah. All right. So let's get into the content. All right. So the first thing if you read the chapter, and I encourage y'all to actually read the chapters on your own before coming to the show, and then also following along as we go. All right. So the first thing we'll read about in this chapter is Judah's rebellious condition, and that's going through verses 2 through 9. Some of the key points in there in verse 4, the children of Judah are said to have forsaken the Lord, Yod-Heh, Waw-Heh, the holy or set apart one of Israel. Now note the alias, holy or set apart one of Israel refers to the Lord, Yod-Heh, Waw-Heh. When I say Yod-Heh, Waw-Heh, we know that is a particular name that is referenced to the Most High. Okay? All right. So, again, the Holy One, or set apart one of Israel, refers to the Lord. Next note, verse 5. Judah is being looked at as a lost cause at this point of time. So, we read, I'm going to go over some of the stuff, but basically they're being bashed and being talked about pretty bad in this chapter. So, additionally in the verse, it is asked, why should they continue to be beaten when all rebel? Like I said, this shouldn't be too far off from whatever version you're reading, how I'm speaking these notes out, because they are direct translation from me reading and analyzing the Hebrew text. So when we talk about
to follow along, you're 5, correct? Because
yes,
I'm kind of following along, so I'm just making sure that, you know what I'm saying, the last one's 4, and I skipped over and I see how long. So you're 5. I'm riding with you. I just wanted to make sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. So basically what this is being said, we know that as a father figure, which we call Yod-Heh, Waw-Heh, Heavenly Father, and we know the duty of a father, if a child acting up, they get a whooping, they get chastened. So what is being said when it say continue to be beaten is talking about in the form of chastisement or, disciplinary whoopings. And it's saying, why should they continue to be beaten when all rebel? So it's basically when you have a rebellious child, you continue to whoop them, and you don't see no change in their character or in their actions. And then you just be like, man, ain't even no point of whooping them no more. So that's kind of like what's being said here. All right, then we go into the next content of what's being said in the chapter, which is dealing with worthless sacrifices. And that's going from verse 11 to verse 20. All right, so things that are mentioned, like I said, I'm generalizing. Things that was mentioned to be worthless were burnt offerings, oblations, new moons, Shabbatim or Sabbaths, calling of assemblies, and appointed feasts. Now, what I would like for y'all to know is that these are things commanded, taught, and or instructed in Torah, but are in this instance being spoken of negatively. The question is why? So we get that understanding in verse 15. It says that Judah had blood on their hands. So figuratively speaking. So you know when you say, you know what I'm saying, you got blood on your hands, that means you have done something wrong. And basically you are being judged for it. So in essence, Judah as a whole, because I'm pretty sure it was some people as far as the prophets and things that were upholding the Most High's ways, but Judah as a whole, because this is a collective thing. So Judah as a whole had been rejected at this point, because we get that from, you know, why should you continue to beat them and so forth. So by them being rejected, their sacrifices were rejected as well. I think that is a key thing to look at. I'm not going to get too deep into, like, elaborated thoughts on that because I guess at the end I'll talk to these brothers about my ideals about, you know, the elaboration of certain things for this season. All right, so next we get into instructions to basically make it right, to kind of change this viewpoint of Judah. So verse 16 and 17, it is said for them to wash or bathe, make themselves clean, reject evil, stop doing evil, that's verse 16, learn to do right, seek justice, and to, now I had a little bit of trouble translating this, but I do know that what is written here is a little bit off, depending on what you're reading. But basically, it's either advance the oppressed or something towards the oppressor.
What verse you at?
Verse, let's see. 17. It's 17. In the KJV, it says, plead for the widow. Other versions say different things. But either way, it's talking something dealing with either the oppressor or the oppressed. So it's basically, you know, they not doing right rulings is basically the sum of what 17 is talking about. You know what I'm saying? Seeking justice, learn to do right. It's basically like, you know, they're not looking to do the right thing. You know, they see people being oppressed. They're not doing nothing about it. They, you know, they're not seeking justice for certain things that they know is out of order. things of that nature. So this is what the Most High is telling Judah to do to make it right, because they continuing in this injustice, but they continue to try to bring sacrifices. And he I'm filled with sacrifices. Like, basically, he's not really concerned with that. You know what I'm saying? They putting that over doing right. So a lot of times, when things ain't right, we think we can continue in, or let me just really direct what's in the context of this chapter. That's what I'm trying to stay away from this season. So what they are doing at this current moment, what we're going over, is they are placing all the things that I named, which were things that, like I said, that was instructed in Torah, the new moons, the Sabbaths. These are things we could find in our reading. We went across these things. The calling of assemblies, appointed feasts. We're talking about all the feasts. We know the feasts, tabernacles, so on and so forth. Oblations, burnt offerings. They even though they ain't, they live in foul, but they trying to uphold this stuff, but they not looking at their character far as right ruling goes. So the Most High is addressing that and letting them know, like, that's not cool. All right? Is there anything that the panel have before I move forward? I see text, I see messages going through. I can't read them right now.
No, I'm just gonna touch stuff on my points.
Okay. All right. So as we get into that, for them to make it right, he's telling them basically this is what you need to do. You need to wash, bathe, make yourself clean, reject evil, stop doing evil, learn to do right, seek justice, so on and so forth. Next, we get into invitation to reason with the Most High. So he tells them to, reason with me. Verse 18 through 20. I'm not going to hit any points in that. I'm going to move forward to the corrupt condition of the city. That's the next thing that's talked about. Verses 21 through 23. And then we get a prophetic word, verses 24 through 31. All right, the prophecy spoken of, it speaks of the following things. So we see a removal of all the alloy or tin from the people. That's verse 25. Now, one thing I didn't say, but I think it should be known, is that Isaiah has very poetic speech in it. So it's a lot of things you're going to have to decode and understand that it's poetic and not necessarily literal, but it's a lot of figurative speech. There's a lot of poetic speech going on, and this is a example of it, where he talks about let me see. All right, this alloy. So for those that know anything about alloy is an impure element found in like silver, stuff like that, and it's not good. So what they do to get rid of it, they melt it, whatever it is down, the silver, gold, whatever. They melt it down to remove it. So they melt it with fire. So poetically, this means that they will be purged of impurity by a somewhat of a symbolic fire. So some trials, tribulations, or whatever. So that's how you have to approach it. When you're reading this, you can't just jump and say, oh, this mean this. You got to think about it a little bit. 2, we see a word spoken of, a prophetic word of judging and advising being restored as it was at first. So right now we ought to understand that there is a lack of judgment, which would involve judges, and advising. You could either say advising or counseling within the house of Judah. Nobody's doing right ruling. Nobody's doing judgment. Nobody's counseling nobody or advising anybody. They just living a vida loca. They doing their own thing, running wild. In which afterward, after he restores this, he says that they will be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. That's verse 26. And then we see a redemption of Zion or Zion and judgment, and a return or repentance with or in righteousness. Now, some of y'all stuff may read something about some converts, okay? First of all, the word being used is a verb. Converts is not a verb. That is a thing. That would be a noun. So, how you would reconcile that is basically what it's saying. I guess you would take that as a convert would be somebody who just repents. You've been converted from one state of being to another state of being. Now, the reason why I'm pointing this out because some might be confused thinking of a convert. You know, you get into the whole thing about Judaism and stuff like that, you know. But basically, all this being said, this is, remember when we got to go back to the context, it's speaking of Judah. It ain't talking about no outside converts. So this is how you would know to reconcile this as people that fell away, people of Judah that fell away into wickedness, and now he's going to convert them back to the righteous way. That's what's being said. Okay, and it says that they will repent. So basically, they will convert back with or in righteousness. Because remember, we talked about that fake repentance. You know, you come back to God, but you still got your same walk that you was when you was walking in wickedness. So he's talking about this is going to be a true repentance that's going to happen. 4, destruction to transgressors and sinners. That's verse 28. Thank you for the time. I hope that was, not too long, but I want to get a good amount of information in there. If anybody have any questions or anything for me, press 1, and I will try to address them to the best of my ability, Most High willing. Thank you. Shalom for now.
Good job, man. That was a great breakdown. I like to think about the converts because that would make it seem like it was a noun. And I was looking at the interlinear, and I was like, dang, that is a verb. So it's more so of an action of the people that are converted. That's a great catch because looking at it, I thought something else. What I'm going to do, I'm going to bring my points next. I know there's a little confusion. And the reason why is because I don't want to go back to back with points. Because I'm going to be talking, that means I'm talking a long time. I'm going to go with the points I have here, and then I'm going to go directly into my points, in which I'm just going to be talking for a while. I'm already the host. So I kind of want to break in between times that I talk. So I'm not, if that makes sense to y'all. Because sometimes I'm already long-winded. Don't make me any more long-winded than I have to be. Than I'm already going to be. So I'm trying to do something a little different also. We'll talk about a little bit more organization and, like we say, in lieu of the conversations that we had about reading from translations and stuff like that. But I'm going to do a little bit different than Yeshayahu. I did write the points I have down, but I do want you to read some stuff. I'm going to try, to read this thing, not from any version, but more so I'm going to try to summarize it, but there's some words that I feel like I wanted to say, and just bear with me. That's what I'm saying, because I'm trying a new thing. So I'm going to skip some of the stuff that I feel like he hit good. I'm going to skip to 4. Matter of fact, I'm just going to reiterate that Holy One. They have provoked the Most High. And 4. They provoked the Most High, the Holy One of Israel. All right? Remember that they provoked him in previous chapters. This is in lieu of, like he said, in Kings. If you go through, you don't even have to go through all of Kings, but you can go through 2 Kings and read, I think probably from 19. I think that's when Manasseh was there, and he said, y'all have provoked me. So this is, the Most High had already told them that they provoked them from having innocent blood was shed. More innocent blood was shed. Sons was passed through fire. Divination, even more wickedness than any other time. That's one of the big reasons why when Josiah was like, hey, look, let me have this repentance thing go on, he like, you won't see it, but I'm finna still knock them off because of what he did in his time. And he did reign for a while. Like Brother Mercy say, the 15 years, this happened after the 15 years was granted to Hezekiah. Woo. So, hold on, that's that. And then I had 7. Okay. Just reiteration. I'm trying to put some things in the timeline. Okay. So, you know what? This is harder than I thought. So I'm going to go to a version. I wrote down, the specific verses that I did, but it makes it easier for me to read. I'm sorry. Because it was something that I wanted to bring out. All right. The way that this is spoken is kind of different to me. And I wanted to see if any of the other panel members just saw this. All right. So in number 2 it says here, for the Most High spoken, okay? I have brought up children and they have transgressed against me. So he's talking about, what he did. All right. And then 4, last of sin and nation, people loaded with crookedness. All right. They're forsaken it. We just talked about it. And they went backwards. All right. He's talking about all of them. Now, 7, your land is laid waste. Your cities are burned with fire. Strangers devour your land in your presence, and it is laid waste as overthrown by strangers. To me, I thought that he's talking about a present day and time, all right, of what he's seeing, of what's happening at the time. Now, I don't believe this laid waste is desolate, but basically saying that you got some intermingling of some people coming in here. And I was looking at this as idol worshiping and stuff that they was doing at the time. All right. Go to 10. All right. So I had 10. All right. Now, this is what I wanted to read. It says, hear the word. All right, you rulers. Give ear to the Torah. All right. Of what use to me are your many slaughterings? All right. I've had enough of your ascending offerings of rams, the fat of fed beasts. I do not delight in bulls, blood of bulls, or of lambs or goats. When you come to appear before me, who has required this from your hand to trample my courtyard? Stop bringing futile offerings, incense. It is an abomination to me. New moons, Sabbaths, the calling of gatherings. I am unable to bear unrighteousness in assembly. All right, I want to stop right there for a second. I've seen this used to say don't do anything else. But in context, he's talking about all the sin previously that they're doing and how they're like Sodom and Gomorrah. So he doesn't take delight in the offerings. He doesn't take delight in what they're doing because they're not doing it out of the right mindset. They're just doing something, basically. Because the offerings and stuff like that, I mean, sometimes these people are just doing stuff, but they're still living wicked. All right? So the Most High is like, man, I'm not trying to do all that. That has nothing. I'm not even trying to really deal with y'all with that. Okay? He's not happy. And it's because of what was previously stated. I wanted to get that out there. All right? And when you spread out your hands, I hide my eyes from you. Even though you make prayers, I do not hear. Your hands have become filled with blood. This is just to add on to the context. So because of what they're doing. Wash yourselves. Make yourselves clean. Put away the evil of your doings before my eyes. Stop doing evil. Okay? 18, come now, let us reason together. Though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they are red like crimson, they shall be as wool. If you submit and obey, you shall eat the fruit of the land, the good of the land. But if you refuse and rebel, you shall be devoured by the sword, for the mouth of the Most High has spoken. Now, we read in 2 Kings that he wiped Jerusalem. He took them out from Israel. That was toward the end of 2 Kings. And he was saying, I'm wiping them clean. I'm taking them out. And we also seen the Babylon that came in and took some people. And it was the poor people sitting in there. So this has to be previously to what that happened, what's going on, because he's talking to people in the land and he's pleading with them to do right before he does what he does. Y'all can interject and correct me if I'm wrong. But from the last thing we read in Kings, this is why we know it's not chronological. We got to fit some things. Last thing we know in Kings is...
I agree. For the record, I agree
okay.
that, you know what I'm saying? Because like we discussed, we saw, because even Ahaz or Ahaz was before the time of Hezekiah. So we seen all these names mentioned, and like I said, that's where we get our context from. So we know that this
right.
is a span. This is concerning a span of the kings of Yehuda or Judah. So I agree.
And Brother Mercy, I see you in the queue. Let me get my points out, and I'll see if Shamar wants to let you in. I'm just going. I'm not even going. I don't have much more. I just wanted to put this little context in there and say what I want to say for this, and then we'll see if the brothers, collectively agree to let you in. All right. So I'm just putting the context in there. Basically, when he's speaking, we already read in 2 Kings as far as Isaiah is speaking into a time, and for those that was following with us, he's got. This is like you kind of got to put your mind backwards now, and say we might not know exactly what king at this point he's speaking to, but at this point he is out here using the words of the Most High to plead with Judah to change before the results of the captivity that we've seen happen at the end of 2 Kings. All right, I want to put that out there. Also, I'm going to throw this out here. How the Most High said, just stop doing it. I want to read this again. Wash yourselves. Make yourselves clean. Put away the evil doings from before my eyes. But you just told me that you have no need for offering. You're just at this. You don't care about my offerings. You want me to change. All right? Change is essential. Change is needed. The offerings ain't going to wash you clean. Your change will. Okay? I didn't see nowhere in the scripture where it says turn and then do the offerings again. All right? And he said, the Most High said, I will make your even though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be white as snow. I'm going to keep going. I think I went to 20. I already did 20. 26. This is what my last one, and I wanted to do it. That's why I said I was about done. I got to go to 25. I'm sorry. And I shall turn my hand against you and shall refine the dross of Lear and shall remove all your other, This is what Yeshayahu was saying, right? Then in 26, and I shall give back your judges as at the first, and your counsels as at the beginning, and shall be called the city of righteousness and a steadfast city. Something stuck out to me about that, give back your judges. And I don't know if because you remember at first it wasn't no king. They had judges. So I was like saying to myself or reading this and saying, man, is he saying he's trying to go back to the original way that he had it? Because if y'all remember, the Most High had it to where it was judges and it was no king, and then Israel asked for king. Like the other people, like they was different by having these judges. All right, and then we went into kings because they begged for a king. So now we didn't have a situation. We've been having a situation to where the kings have been leading Israel into sin. This is why we just got out of 1st and 2nd Kings. Straight up, they say the king did evil in the sight, and they the ones that led. That this is why the Most High didn't want it in the first place. For real. Because we just went through them kings, and we just went, and they showed that how and why Israel was in the state of being that they was. And they have nobody sitting back judging them to tell them what's right and wrong, like in the beginning. All right? So, I don't know. That was my little thing, or maybe that's a question to the panel members and anybody else. Do you believe he was talking about I'm going to get back your judges like before, like in the beginning? Or do you think it's something else being said? And with that, I rest. And I don't know how y'all want to. I know Brother Mercy's in the queue, but I did have that question that I put out there. That's for anybody.
I believe it's what you just said, going back to the original way. That's my belief at this moment. It makes perfect sense because we just know that, this wasn't the intent of the Most High. We need a king of righteousness, right? But we've been seeing nothing but kings that was unrighteous, that led astray. The judges are led by someone else. They're instructed by someone else. That someone else, if everything else will fall in place under righteousness, needs to be righteous. And who is the most righteous other than any, besides anyone else? Period. The Most High. So that's my answer.
If I can give an answer real quick, I could see it that way. I'm kind of seeing it a little bit different because when I looked in the Hebrew, if you look at those two words, they're also verbs. So I kind of have a different viewpoint on it. Not too far off from what you're saying, but it's just like, to me, what I'm seeing is that nobody was doing basically judgment. Like, people was letting people get away with crimes, you know what I'm saying, transgression, sins, and nobody was giving any counseling. Nobody, because you see counseling in there too. Nobody was advising anybody, about walking the way of the Most High, doing right, or anything like that. Like, basically, the land was corrupt. You know what I'm saying? It was full of crime, full of criminal activity, and nobody was, judging it or anything like that. And so when you go back to as it was at first, now we can go as far back to the judges. You know what I'm saying? Samuel, Shemuel, and that's when, you know what I'm saying, there was order, you know what I'm saying, going on back then. Now, the part where I say I agree with the whole king thing, because we do know that the Most High said that is not what he wanted. That's not the design of the nation, how he set it up. And so we seen that disorder. We seen that nobody advising. We seen this wild turn of Israel when the kings came about. So that's why I say I agree with what you're saying, but I just wanted to say that part as far as the judging and the advising part. So you look at
let me say this.
Uh-huh.
If it's verbs, would it be a better word for as far as for us in English speaking? Would it be best to look at that as, and I'll bring back your judgment, or bring back judgment? And it's not, because judgment doesn't have to be negative judgment all the time, like people always think.
Right. It's not judgment. Judging, that's a good point. Judgment is just like justice. You know what I'm saying? When you go to the court, who you see? The judge. He gives you a verdict of
sometimes
what
it's
needs
good
to happen to sentence somebody from transgressing the law. That's what they lacking. Nobody's doing that. People breaking the law and they just letting them do it. That's what the judge.
Because when I say that as at first, and I have to look in my see
right
that
at first. Now that's why I say it goes back to when there was judgment, and that's when, like you said, that was in Judges. We seen that in Judges.
Right.
We seen how, you know what I'm saying, it began to fall apart. How Shemuel, he got sad because he knew that the whole game was going to change when they brought this king in.
Yeah, you're right. It has changed.
I'm not saying I don't agree. I'm just bringing a little more into what you're saying.
Oh, no. That makes sense. Like you say, it's a verb. So when it comes down to being verbs, it has to be an action behind it. And that's why I say, well, now if I look at it, I can look at, I'll bring back the judgment like you had it first. I'll bring back the counseling like you had it first. More so of the action, not people. And if like I say, if it's a verb, it's a verb.
People don't matter.
Okay.
It's about the action.
Exactly. It's about the action. So that is why this type of dialect is needed. Because instead, you're looking at it. I see now. Instead of verbs. So good catch. Like I say, that's all I had. Like a Brother Mercy is in the queue. If you wanted to let him in.
he got to bring his
And that's on
points
Shema.
if he wants.
Yeah, let me bring my points first before I bring anybody, because I want to make sure that it aligns with what we've been talking about. Before I get started, I want to make sure those that's listening now. And
Hey, you sound kind of muffled.
I want to make sure that those that's listening now.
All right.
Hear me? That's listening now, that might have just came in, to go back to the original person that was, that led the chapter. Great points by Brother Orek, and hopefully mine will be just as good for the listeners. But I really want to say, like when yourself does is, go back to the person who leads off on the chapter, so you get a little foundation of what our points is feeding off of. Also, in response to, before I hit my points, I still think it's more so, I agree with both, and I'm going to tell you why. You're going to see in my points why I agree fully with both, no disagreement. But I do believe is your self part is a little more the key, because it goes into what all of us been saying all the way up to this point. It's one king that wanted to be king and was taken, and that was taken away. So by removing that king, that's when the unrighteousness hits. But it is righteousness. It's a remnant of righteous people. We're going to see that through my points when I bring it out. So as he had read, I'm just going to go to my points and I'm going to bring it out. So the very first thing I want to bring out is verse 1. He already brought that out. Context is everything. That's great that he put out. You need to pay attention to the context of who they are speaking of in this chapter and in this time of Yeshayahu, Isaiah. I want to go down to verse 3. Verse 3, when it talks about an ox knows its owner and a donkey its master, but Israel does not know. My people does not comprehend. This is my, I'm reading from the Stones edition. I just want us to really think on that. Really think on what he's saying right here, even within the context of the time and it just in general. It has to be a reason as to why he's saying my people don't comprehend. I like the fact that y'all talked about from understanding these prophets, learning Nevi'im, or these writings from a poetic standpoint as well. Everything is not literal, but that isn't to say that it's some magical understanding you have to get. No, you just have to go through this contextually. Okay, so I want to put that out. So I think that's important to understand when he says my people do not comprehend. Why don't they comprehend? It is something that the people in general as a whole are not doing, or it's something that the people are doing or is doing, to make them not comprehend. They touched on verse 4. I think that was awesome. They have angered the Holy One of Israel. The Holy One of Israel. Who is the Holy One of Israel? We're seeing this in context. We're seeing all the way leading up to this point. But who is, Yeshayahu speaking of, who is the Holy One of Israel? And it's attaching it to someone. Attached it to Yod-Heh, Wah-Heh. They have forsaken Yod-Heh, Wah-Heh, or Wah-Heh. They have angered the Holy One of Israel. I want to jump down to verse 6, and I will I hate you putting that in there like I'm, holding strings or something. But I will want the panelists, once I get done, just note verse 6. And it says this. I know it says it, I believe in KJV, but it says him in my version. And let me go through the whole thing, and you're going to see what I'm going to do with the him. Verse 6 says, from the sole of the foot to the head, nothing in him is whole. Only injury, bruise, and festering wound. Who is the him in this particular renderance are they talking about? I know in KJV, I believe it says it. In the Hebrew language, certain words can be it or her. It depends. It's the personification that goes with that poetic he's speaking of. we have to. That's why it's good to learn a little bit, so you can decipher these things. But who is the him that they're speaking of right here? Is it Yisrael? That's something to think of. Okay, think about. So I want someone, or the people that's listening in, or the panelists, to respond on verse 6 for me. Now I want to go down to verse 13. Verse 13. It says no longer.
Man, you had you that verse 6 right there, man. Something's in there. I felt it in the spirit.
Yeah. Yeah, I will just put it out, but I want it.
Like you say, it's poetic. But I looked and I saw say wounds and bruises and open sores. They have not been closed or bound up or soothed with ointment. But he's talking about. All right, man, my bad. I ain't gonna jump in on the other stuff.
No, go ahead. I mean,
okay. All their head is sick and all their hearts faint. This is Israel, right? Because they talk about how they're evildoers and stuff like that. From the sole of their foot to the head, there was no soundness in it. But technically, you just said that I don't know if he just said it. He's going to finna say it later. But if it wasn't for a small piece in there, I'd have towed you up like Sodom and Gomorrah. It might be down a little bit.
That's verse 10. That's verse 9 and 10.
Yeah, it's down a little bit.
For the remnant.
So, but see, that's what I'm saying. So, like, you can tell that the language, the lingo, sometimes you can't say all, and then you say, well, there's a couple in there. You know what I mean? But it's because you're giving an analogy of certain things that it kind of, you got to know the analogies. You know what I'm saying? Basically, when I see all, I'm saying most. I'm saying because to be honest with you, when you got a nation, nations get punished together. Okay? Because we just saw, Isaiah was in the time of some stuff going down. Daniel was in the time, I don't know, bring him in. I mean, he went into captivity too. And he was righteous. So he felt the wind of some people doing some stuff. He just would have said, I would have destroyed all of you if it wasn't for the small. But for the aspect of it, all y'all is bad if you want to keep it 100. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how he's looking at them, as one people. I guess that's how he look at us now, as one people. But something about them wounds and bruises and open sores. All right.
So what I want people to pay attention to is verse 6, the him. I'm just going to say it. The him is referring to Israel at this point. From the sole of the foot to the head, nothing in him is whole. Injury, bruise, and festering wound, they have not been treated and they have not been bandaged. And the wound has not been softened with oil. So I'm gonna let that marinate a little bit and allow anyone to come in or comment on it once I'm done with everything. So that's verse 6. I want to jump down to verse 13. He already jumped on 9 and 10. When it talks about the remnant. He brought that up about the Sodom and Gomorrah. So I want to go down to verse 13. It says, "No longer shall you bring a worthless meal offering. It is smoke of abomination to me. As for the new moon and Sabbath and your calling of convocations, I cannot abide mendacity with solemn assembly." This is my version. Well, not really my version. You know what I mean. Now, when you look up that word mendacity, it's many definitions to it, but it means falsehood. It goes into what y'all was speaking of. You're trying to you're just doing this. This is his feast, but now he's saying it's yours. You done created it and made it yours because you're not attaching the action with the feast itself. So you're bringing falsehood to this solemn assembly. You're bringing falsehood. I mean, you ain't really doing it. So when he says, "My soul detests your new moon," verse 14, "and your appointed times, they have become a burden upon me." That is not their new moons. You want me? I can prove to you why. I can prove right now, going backwards, how the Most High speaks. Remember when the people was doing crazy and Moshe said, "Your people"? Wait a minute. Who people is it? Most High's people. Why isn't he they people? Why aren't they his people anymore? How did they become Moshe's people? You see what I'm saying? You understand how the Most High operates and how he's speaking? He just said your new moons, your solemn assemblies. But the verse before, he's speaking in general. He goes back to what y'all was saying. This is his stuff. But what they're doing is they're bringing falsehood to these things. So when you bring falsehood to something that is righteous, when you bring falsehood to something that is pure, then it's no longer the Most High. From that standpoint, it becomes yours. That's what he's speaking of. Let's go down to verse 16. So verse 16 says, wash yourselves, purify yourselves, remove the evil of your deeds from before my eyes. Cease doing evil. Learn to do good. Seek justice. Vindicate the victim. Render justice to the orphan. Take up the grievance of the widow. Come now, let us reason together, says Yah. So you can wash yourself, huh? Wash yourselves. Clean yourselves. How do you do that? He just explained how to do it in the Tanakh, right here in Isaiah, through Isaiah. He's telling you how to wash how to wash yourselves. Now, in context, he's telling them how to wash themselves. Turn back. I think y'all or yourself, one of them, they use a different word that I'm using. I can't think of it right now. But it's basically, your actions. Turn back. Go along the lines of what I'm saying right here. Learn to do good. Right ruling. Justice. That's how you wash yourselves. You can do all these sacrifices and stuff all you want, which is, it's not necessary. We did it, of course, but you're doing it in falsehood. So in order to actually be pure and clean, do these things that I attach to washing yourself. Right? All right, so...
Hey, can I interject real quick? Hey, that goes back to what he was saying, that they would convert or turn back or repent in righteousness. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because just doing feasts and sacrifice and bring an oblation, that is not turning back.
No. Nope. Not at all, man. And we can apply that. We're doing this contextually, but hey, to be real, it's nothing new under the sun. It's nothing new under the sun. That's we're not there yet. So I'm not gonna say where I get it from. But it's nothing new under the sun. So the same operation, the same way that they were operating in, the fashion they was operating in, we do it today. So we can do this stuff all we want, but if we, let's continue. Let's go down to verse 24, which is just going to reiterate verse 4. Therefore, the word of the Lord. Do me a favor before I continue reading. You did, y'all. I'm sure you probably maybe are on in a linear or yourself. Is that the Yod Hey Wah Hey for verse 24? Somebody?
Yeah.
Okay,
the first
cool.
Lord is Adonai. The second Lord, where it say the Lord of hosts, so it say said the Lord, so said Adonai.
Mm-hmm. So that means
Yod Hey Wah Hey of hosts.
Mm-hmm. So
you got Lord back to back, but they two different Lords.
Okay. So in this context, it's just basically it's connecting, it's attaching what Yod Hey Wah Hey is to us, and then it's putting massively just mighty one of or Elohim of Israel. So it just attached all these titles towards him. It's letting you know who he is. It just confirms verse 4. I just wanted to throw that out there. And then the very last thing that I have goes along with what you did, y'all was saying. But I'm throwing, in addition, I'm about to add something to y'all. Verse 27, y'all. Verse 27. It says, Hold on before I go. I want to make sure. Okay, I hit everything I wanted. Okay, verse 27 says, Zion will be redeemed through justice, and those who return to her through righteousness. Zion will be redeemed through justice, and those who return to her through righteousness. So, when we go back to Yosef got me doing that stuff. When we go back to where it's at, give me 1 second, you all. I'm sorry. Okay, we got the remnant right here. Long story short, verse 27, the way that I see verse 27 is this. Zion will be redeemed through justice, and those who return to her through righteousness. Two things I want to point out. Right here, we see that we got a her. We had a him earlier, so I want to point that out. We had a him in verse 6 through my renderings. KJV, I believe, says it. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, y'all. You know, the Hebrew speaking brothers on this show right here. And then we have a her right here. So I want to point that out. That's that personification I was talking about. 2, the redemption will be through righteousness. So we understand that there are righteous amongst Israel. Now, is it possible that the Redeemer in this context would be because, or will the Zion be redeemed because of those who are righteous? That's what it's saying right here, from what I'm saying. And with that, I yield.
I'm sorry, I was actually looking up, man, got me looking at the words and the one with the hymn. And I don't even have, and that's in verse 6, right? I'm sorry I'm taking up a little bit of time. In verse 6, okay, read from your version, because I'm looking at the interlinear. Just read verse 6. They got to be, yeah, just read from your version. Let me see where they put in, and then I'm going to let Mercy in, and then I'm going to do my own.
Exactly. I know where you're going with the interlinear, because I was stuck on this verse for like 30 minutes. I'm going to tell you why. I was stuck on it for 30 minutes because, you know, we go into the Hebrew. And it's Hebraically speaking.
I know. I was just saying where they converted the verb into a he.
I think that they did the him. I think they did the him more so in context of what is said. They didn't add. They don't have parentheses or anything in here either. So I don't know. So I would have to, you know, what's y'all take on it, on that. So it said we told me to read. It says, from the sole of the foot to the head, nothing in him is whole. Only is added. Only injury, bruise, and festering wound. They have not been treated, and they have not been bandaged. And in the little parenthesis type thing, the wound has not been softened with oil. That's the whole verse 6.
Okay. I'm gonna look that up, man. It's something I'm.
All right, if I can just come in real quick. If you like follow the context of it, I'm just gonna read direct from the KJV, if y'all don't mind. Why should ye be stricken anymore? Right. So remember I talked about that. Why should you be basically chastised, whipped, beaten? Ye, it says in here, it says, ye will revolt more and more. But basically in there it says, chol. So we know chol means all. So basically it says all, how did I render it? All, up. Excuse me.
You in verse 6?
He going down from verse. That was verse 5. He just went. He going to verse 6
Okay.
right now.
I'm like looking like, wait a minute.
5 right now, yeah. So,
Yep.
yeah, because I'm giving the context.
I see.
But it says when all rebel. But here it says when ye revolt. We know revolt means to rebel. When all, because that more and more is not really there, but it says when all rebel. So basically it's saying, you know what I'm saying, I'm beating y'all, but y'all just rebellious. So ain't no point of me to keep beating y'all. And then when you go to the next verse, it say from the soles of the foot. So now that's where it gets into the personification. So we know he's looking at Israel as one whole body, one person. Like if you were to imagine, you know, because the head, we say the head is what? The king, the ruler. So the head, talking about the king, is sick. The king is sick. So, you know, we talk about how you pour the oil on the head and it flows down to the beard and to the body. So basically, whatever that king is doing is affecting the rest of the body. The head sick, the body sick. And it's saying, you know, it goes back into the context of 5 where it's talking about I've been beating y'all. So, you know what I'm saying, the from the sole of your foot, from the head, there is no soundness. It's talking about like the king. There is no soundness in the king. It would be and bruised. So like, you know, y'all bruised, y'all battered. You know what I'm saying? Like I done beat y'all. Like y'all just done for. But it's being personified as if it is like
can I
one
say something?
person. Yeah.
Yeah, it is, but even the verbs is used, and I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to be done with it. I was just looking at it, and this, I promise you, in about less than a week, I've been on this type of stuff. The word for clothes is zor, but they use zaru, and they used that's the verb, and for bound they use habasu, and when you put the
that's plural
at the end, that's for them. Okay. So even if it has him or it, it's a plural him or it, period. What they're talking about is a group of people.
Right.
Period.
And I got the, yes, sir.
Okay,
I got that right there, too. I said plurality, bro. I said
right.
It's redeemer are plural. That's what I wrote down. So it's redeemer. Redeemer is plural. I'm glad you just threw that in there, boy. Thank you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just looking at, you know, saying as far as... Okay, that's all I was just saying, like, you know what I'm saying, as far as it's not a singular body, of course, it's talking about a body, but you have to look at what the verbs are conjugated to, and it's conjugated to basically or transferred to plurality of people, so that gives you, that even lets you more so know,
like,
talking about the body of people.
Like older English, when it says ye, like, we don't have that. We just say you now. But it was a reason why it was ye and thee, because in older English, that is a plural form.
Yes, sir.
So that's something people might not know either. So, like, if you do have a King James Version Bible and you read from it, that's something you might need to know. That older English, because they eliminated that when English evolved and they just made it you. And you have to figure out, like, if I say you people, that's plural. You know what I'm saying? But I could just say, hey, you know, and it could be talking about one person, you know. But, yeah, go
that's
ahead.
what's up.
So
I don't know if y'all had
to
anything else I want to grab Brother Mercy and also, too.
All right, I'm going to say the last thing. This just ending, and then Brother Mercy, what you two just did did nothing but confirmed what it is I was bringing out, man. And that's amazing. I love how you showed the plurality with the ooh. I love how y'all brought out the when he was breaking it down with the king and then the souls. And key word in what he said, souls, plural. So when that him, in my version, which it might not say him in theirs, they still confirmed that him is plurality. So that goes back to what I was saying with the
we have to pay attention to, and I'm done after this, we have to pay attention to a couple things, but I'll say one thing is the context if you're not going to learn the Hebrew, and the poetic speaking that it does if you're not in personification if you're not going to learn the Hebrew. The Hebrew will show you what he just brought out, the plurality. And that's all I want to say. Just remember that when it said him, it was talking about Israel right here in this very verse, chapter 1, verse 6. I'm done.
All right, Brother Mercy. I'm bring you in.
Hey, brothers. Happy Sabbath. I just want to say, shalom. This is a powerful, Isaiah's a powerful prophet, and a lot of people use his sayings and writings to do various things. What I wanted to use is to go to the famous verse that I hear a lot. That's Isaiah chapter 1, verse 18. This is a very famous verse used by the Christian church. Come now and let us reason together, says the Lord. Though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be white as snow. Though they are red like crimson, they shall be like wool. This is a beautiful verse, and it's very poetic, like Shema is saying. However, the contrast is made with the sins being red and scarlet, but then becoming white. And then a contrast is made between crimson and wool. So, I don't hear people talking about the wool, and why is the wool important? Well, let's go back to the sacrifices. Well, Hebrews, since you're talking about the Hebrews, learning Hebrew, let's go to the book of Hebrew just for 1 second, since we're talking about the Hebrew language. Hebrew chapter 10, verse 26. For we willingly sinning after receiving the full knowledge of truth, no more for sins doth there remain a sacrifice. In other words, you couldn't make a sacrifice for every sin, especially murder. If you murder somebody, you can't build an altar and offer sacrifice, think Yahweh going to accept it. No, that's not how it works. Okay? When your sins become white like snow, then your sins become eligible to be atoned for through sacrifice. I'm going to say that one more time. When your sins become, notice he said, your sins weren't totally abolished. You still have sin, but they're white now. Like snow. In other words, men can't see them. They can't detect it. It's hard to detect your sins. Your sins become like Brother Mercy's sins. You can't detect them. And so, and so when they become like that, then you can build an altar. And so that's why Brother Mercy want to build an altar now, because, my sins become white now, so I want to build an altar. So, but the courts, Jedediah talked about the court system.
Hey, go live when you do it. I want to
No, I'm not going to lie because of the court system, because Isaiah talks about the court system. Jedediah. The court system. See, the court system plays a part in this, Jedediah. and what you not understand? Well, I know Jedediah understands this, and that's why he wants me to go live with it. So, the thing is, with the court system, the courts are not fair. In other words, I'll be like Michael Vick if I were to offer a sacrifice. I will be jailed for animal brutality, correct? We know this. Okay. Now, this is where the
I want to know if a strange fire come down and burn you up.
Well, we ain't got to get to that far. I ain't got to get that far down the street. I'm just talking about just the beginning stages. I haven't even got down to that piece. I'm talking about the beginning stages. Just building the officer and putting an animal on it, they'll lock you up, okay? We just deal from the ground level, okay? We just deal from the ground level. So that's why Moses couldn't do it in Egypt. Remember, Pharaoh said, why don't you stay here, offer your sacrifice? Moses said, no, I can't do it in Egypt. I got to go out in the desert. So you got to go out in the desert to make the sacrifice. You can't do it in Egypt, okay, guys? I hope we understand that, okay? I don't want you to guys end
I
up
was
like
just
Michael.
joking, Mercy.
Oh no! What your joke is a reality though, Jedediah. Your joke is a reality. So I already knew your joke, but it's funny to me because I already know this. So I had to go out in the desert like Moses in the office cycle. I can't do it in Egypt. So I just wanted to say that and say, for what has been done to our people, like what has been done to our people. There's a reason why altars and sacrifices have been outlawed in America, because what has been done to the Indians, what has been done to our people, the white people, the slave owners cannot build an altar that Yahweh will accept. You know why? Because their sins are red like scarlet. And then not only that, then when your sins, remember David? He couldn't build the Lord's temple. Why? Because his blood on his hands. So what I'm saying is, the Most High is not going to accept a temple from you. He's not going to accept a sacrifice from you if your sins are red like scarlet. You have to wash yourselves first. After you wash yourselves and become clean, then you may make atonement for your sins that are white as snow. That's all I wanted to say about that. So that's the reason why the Most High says, to me, this is my interpretation of it. That's why he's not accepting that sacrifice, because their sins are just that too bad for sacrifice to atone for. So what do you guys think about it? That's just my take on it, and that's it.
Deep.
Can I go first?
What's up, Brother Mercy? I'm going to take out the cue real quick, and then go ahead, Lydia.
Yeah, so I just want to make it real quick. But first thing I want to do is establish that when he says wash, this is symbolic. He's not saying put water on your body, go take a shower. That's not what he's saying. He's not saying jump in a swimming pool or lay down in the kiddie pool and let Orechdin dip your head down and bring you back up. That's not what he's saying. He's saying that, wash yourself. It's symbolic speech. Make yourself clean, a clean heart, as David said. Renew a right spirit in me. This is what he's talking about. Clean your heart. Clean the inside of the cup, so to say, for those who are familiar with the New Testament speech. Clean that inside of that cup, you know what I'm saying, and change. So, as far as what Brother Mercy is asking, I think that is very well. He talks about, even in here where he says, I can't recall if it's in this chapter, yourself chapter, but he says that your many prayers that you make, I do not hear them. So even the prayers are not heard when you are unclean. So let alone trying to bring some type of sacrifice or oblation or something. He ain't even trying to hear you pleading with prayers. So that should establish my answer. And that's all I got.
And I'm about to say something real quick, and I'm not. This is not on no opposition or nothing like that, but this goes for those people that might feel like in Sunday churches is usually you ain't got to stop doing something. Just ask for forgiveness in Jesus' name, which will be to them their offering, and you can still do what you're doing. And in context of what the Most High is saying, like that is not the way that works. You got to be turned away for him to be hearing your prayers for anything. You know what I'm saying? So to think that an offering or any body middleman is going to change the fact that you have not changed is not going to help. Okay? That's not the way that works. Whether or not you believe in it or not, it just don't work that way. Okay? I wanted to say that. Well, I know I got the next chapter, and I'm going to speed through
Somebody in the
as
queue,
fast as I can.
by the way.
Oh, okay. I didn't even see it. I will open the queue. Hold on. Let me open it. And Sister Hawkmark, you are live. Hold on. You're live now.
What is time? Is it good afternoon? Okay, I have some questions. We're gonna have to let Brother Mercy in because I don't get his jokes, and I don't, and I'm starting to get. Anyway, so I have a question about the crimson. Is it stating that he doesn't forgive murderers? Is that what Brother Mercy was trying to say, as far as not hearing the prayers because what the slave owners have done? And then my other one was, had another one. I couldn't remember what it is right now, but that's one of the questions because that threw me off. I didn't understand it. It had another. It'll come back to me after Brother Mercy answer my question, or maybe you guys can answer the question. I don't care who answers it really, but I'm just trying to understand the crimson and the murder and the slave owner. The things that he brought out. Sometimes I don't catch everything Brother Mercy is trying to say, and I want to know.
All right, I'll let Brother Mercy in so he can say we say, Brother Mercy, you live. Brother Mercy, you live.
Yeah, Sister Hagma, you asked an excellent question. What Brother Mercy is simply saying is simple. If I go out and murder your mother, and I cannot go pay a tithe in Sunday church to atone for that. Okay? So I don't teach that, okay? This is what Israel's doing. I mean, you done murdered somebody. Now you trying to offer a lamb if that's going to atone for what you've done. So the sacrifice is done to atone for sin. What Brother Mercy is simply saying is you can't pay tithes to cover up for 300 years of slavery, or you can't. If I murder somebody, I can't go then and kill a lamb and think that's going to make things right. No, it won't, because according to Torah, a life is for a life. If you take a man's life, your life is required. No sacrifices Yahweh going to accept for that. Your life is required. So what is Brother Mercy saying? For what they've done to us, they owe us reparations. They can't just say, I'm sorry. They owe reparations like they were the Japanese. Like everybody else got reparations except us. So what I'm saying is, you can't it's just like if I hit your car, we get in a car accident. I can't just say I'm sorry and go about your business. We call each other insurance companies and I pay for your damages, correct? So on a simple level, what I'm trying to say, you got to atone for sin the right way. That's all I'm trying to say. And sacrifices were never used to atone for sins that are red like crimson, like murder. You can't use sacrifice to atone for that. So that's all I'm trying to say.
I think you elaborated pretty decent. I like that. Towards the end, especially. I'm not sure if everybody agrees with me now.
Yeah, he elaborated pretty good. And
I just want to say one thing before we go, because, and like I said, when I do my closing statements, I'm going to bring this up. But I just want to make sure that we stay in the content and context of the chapter. So I want everybody to know that when it say, though your sins, it is talking about Yehuda, the group. That is plural.
Yes. Again.
It has a plural prefix ending on the word sin. So it is still collectively talking about Yehuda. So when he said your sins, he's talking about all the stuff that they doing at the current moment. He's saying, though that y'all sins are like that, when I get done purifying y'all and get that alloy out of y'all, y'all will be white as snow. And it goes back to where he said y'all will be called the righteous city, or city of righteousness, faithful city. What he's saying is that they're going to go through a transformation from being wicked at the current state to be changed. This has nothing to do with individual people's sins. This is directly talking to Yehuda. I just want to make that clear. So, like Brother Mercy said, people using it in the church and stuff, that's fine and dandy if that's what people want to do. But when we dealing with the book in context, this has nothing to do with that. Now, you could take that ideal and run with it, just like those who bless you, I will bless them. How they use that with Abraham, that was specifically to Abraham, not no individuals later on. There wasn't no hidden cameras, so later on it'd be talking about you. Okay, we read in literature and history. So I just want that to be clear.
All right, moving forward.
Like a freshly clean glass window.
Moving forward, we're going to get into now chapter 2. All right, chapter 2. I'm going to start at verse 2. All right, it's basically saying, and it's going to come to pass, or this is the word of the Most High coming out of Isaiah. That's one. All right, it says it comes to pass in the last days, or in later days, or in a it says latter, I believe, in KJV. All right, that could also be last. That can also, so latter also means a later date. Just want to throw that out there. It doesn't have to be the last days. I'm not saying it's not. It's just what the word could be rendered also. All right, I'll let you know what I think, whatever, at this time being. So, if things change, you can hear me say, all right, yeah, this is right or this is wrong. All right? That the mountain, basically the mountain of the Most High, is going to be established and it be exalted. And all the nations shall flow to it. All right, to this established mountain of the Most High. And then in 3, that the people may go to it and say, let us go to the mountain, go to the house of Jacob, and he will teach his ways, and we will walk in his paths. From Zion shall come out the law, basically, the Torah, and the word of the Most High from Jerusalem. And in 4, and he shall judge amongst the nations, and shall rebuke people, many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. And basically, they will not lift a sword against another sword, and they will not learn war anymore. Okay, I'm summarizing those verses. Going back to 2, it says in the last days, I'm just summarizing, basically, he's going to reestablish Jerusalem. And all the nations going to go to it for the law. And it's going to be peace. Because you're not even going to have to learn war no more. Or at least, it says anymore. All right? Then in 5 it says, O house of Jacob, which is Israel, come let us walk into the light, in the light of the Most High. All right. My next point was at 6. Now I'm finna go. I was in the interlinear. I was trying my little interlinear, but I have to go to version real quick. Make it a little easier because I can just scroll down. For you have forsaken your people, the house. Okay, now, this is what I say. This is where verbiage changed up. All right, the word of the Most High came concerning Judah and Jerusalem. All right, and it started talking about the last days. This is things going to happen, right? Now, the verbiage kind of changes up a little bit as in the next couple verses of Isaiah. Like it seemed like to me, Isaiah is kind of talking, might have been talking instead of the Most High in some points. All right? And I'll tell you why. And then 6 is, for you have forsaken your people, the house of Jacob, because they have been filled from the east and practiced magic. This is not, I'm sorry, Isaiah talking to the Most High. All right? For you have forsaken your people, the house of Jacob, because you have been filled from the east and practiced magic like the Philistines, and they are pleased with the children of foreigners. Okay? So, this is Isaiah talking to the Most High. And their land is filled with silver and gold, da-da-da. Their land is filled with idols. All right? The lowly bows down. He's kind of describing Israel. All right? And in 11, the lofty looks of man shall be humbled. The pride of men shall bow down. And the Lord, Yod-Hey, Wad-Hey, Wav-Hey, alone shall be exalted in that day. What day? The last day. Okay? Alone. Let me go to make sure I stop. 6. I'm gonna make sure. Boom. Yeah. Badal. Okay. All right. So what I saw also, it says the Most High alone will be exalted in that day. All right. And then it goes and says, for the Most High of hosts has a day against all the proud, okay, and against all these evildoers. All right. And the lofty man shall be bowed down. Here's in 17 again. The pride of man shall be brought low. And the Most High alone shall be exalted in that day. What day? That day. The previous day that I just was speaking of. And the idols completely passed away. And they shall go into holes and rocks and clefts from the dread of the Most High and the splendor of his ecstasy, when he raises and shall shake the earth. That's where I'm going to stop. I'm just going to explain a little something that I see, and then it might be corrected later on. In my opinion, this has not happened yet. The reason why I say in history, I don't think it's happened yet. I have not read it happening yet. I'll say that, because I have reset my brain to go so on and so forth. So in 1st and 2nd Kings, we have they sinned, and he said he was going to take them out, and then he took them out. That's where it kind of lasted at the end, and he left the poor, and some of the poor got taken out, and they basically got marshaled into captivity. Now, some stuff does happen after that later on down the line. I know this from my memory, but I cannot give total details because I'm trying not to forget certain stuff. Just because I'm trying to reprogram myself to figure out what's going on at this point. So at this point, from what we've seen in Kings, they have not changed anything, of course. And he said, all right, it's funny to me how he tells them to change, but then he tells them, all right, in later time, this is what you're going to do. Same thing kind of happened in Deuteronomy. He said, if you do this, hey, woo-woo. But then he gives them hope at the end, like, but you're going to do what you want to do anyway, and I'm going to save you in the end. All right? The same type of setup is kind of in the Torah. But this talks about peace. All right? And all I hear about is the Most High from this point. I'm just going to keep it real because, like I say, this is the most controversial book in the Bible. This is supposed to be a prophecy. When you look up prophecies of the Messiah, this is supposed to be a messianic prophecy, supposedly. So, with that being said, I didn't see anything about messianic. So, like, when you Google messianic prophecies, they'll send you to Isaiah 2. All right, and they'll say this is what he's going to accomplish later on. I don't see, maybe and he shall judge. But, of course, according to what we see, have I've seen in context, that he is the Most High. Because remember, it is no breakages in 1 and 2. We broke this up. There's numbers. We see numbers, but this book kind of flows. All right, I don't want to take up too much time. All right, but we also know where the Torah comes from. The Torah comes from the Most High, just like we was explaining. And it says the word of the Most High from Jerusalem, and he shall judge between the nations, and he shall reprove, many people. Okay, so beforehand, I was doing my studies or whatever, and I was looking for Messianic prophecies and stuff like that at one point. And, this is one of the ones I had wrote down, and I was like, okay, this is not happening. This has not been accomplished. We're waiting on this. We're waiting on some Messiah to come accomplish this. But as I look at it even deeper, this doesn't even talk about a servant or a man or anointed one or anything of that matter. So that might be some misinformation at this point reading along the lines of Google and whoever said that this was Messianic, of one person coming back. Now, I know later on down the line, it's some implications of one person doing something. I'm just saying that this right here does not give that implication to me of what they say it means. And I'll yield with that.
Who you
So,
want
Shema, because I don't know if Shema wanted to go back to back. The reason why I break it up is because if Shema goes last and then he rolls into us, then he has a lot of points to go hit. Actually gives him a chance to gather his speech, gets a drink of water, do whatever he has to do, whether it's whistle, whatever. So Shema, if you don't mind, you go with your points, and then Yeshayahu, and then since Shema's going last, you know what I'm saying?
To be quite frank, you already touched on things that I would have spoken about. I have nothing for chapter. Actually, yes, I do. I got 2 things. I got 2 points. Hold on 1 second. Okay, let me go to it. Yeah, we're gonna have it. I got what I wrote down was because you already said, I believe, Napo verses 1 through 4 has yet to happen. And then with verse 9, I just notated to myself that that's pretty heavy. In my version, in the version I'm reading, it says humankind will have bowed, and man will have humbled himself, yet you will not forgive them. And I thought that was pretty heavy. It doesn't mean that this is my take, just going off like contextually and consistent studies that we've been doing. It doesn't mean that he won't forgive them, period, right? But what it means right here is like, you know what? Though you are doing these things, though you did turn back, though you did, because it says, what does it say? What is it at? 1 second. That's verse 9, right? Okay. Though you might turn back or whatnot, this is just me speaking outside of it. You still got to account for what you did. Oh, so you're not going to be forgiven from a standpoint of like, hey, don't worry about it. You don't have to go through anything. We saw that with Dawid. He when he realized what he'd done, when he realized what he had did, based off his own words and the response to the prophet, he repented. Well, that's what we read. He repented, but he still had to go through the consequences of what he done. So right here when it says he will not forgive, It's more so in that aspect, and that's what I'm getting out of it. And that's all I got. I really didn't have anything else in chapter 2.
What verses that you reading?
Verse 9.
So, is that what it say in your version? He will not forgive? That
Yet
what you
you will not forgive them. Yeah.
So, just from me reading it, what I had got was like basically how yourself said that you see a little bit of Yeshayahu speaking. It's Yeshayahu saying basically not to forgive them because of what they doing. So he's like intercessing between the people and the Most High, and basically like, you know, because they doing this, like saying not to forgive them. Like, how did yours read, yourself? Like from the version that you got in front of you?
Okay, so I'm flipping from a couple different versions. So let me go to my Bible app on the TS99 and say, you do not forgive them. And then I was just looking at the interlinear right before you asked me. I don't see you. And then I'm trying to see if you was implied. How about the construction of forgive? I'm gonna have to look a little bit deeper. You have to give me a second, but I don't see a you, and like I said, it might be implied, but I have to look at the way the verb is constructed in front of me to see if that used. But in the interlinear, it says the great man. It says, do therefore forgive not the great man. Something like along those lines on the interlinear. Basically, like Yeshayahu says, he's talking and saying, do not forgive the hauntee or whatever you want to say. They use the great man in this, what you call it.
Right. So it's basically saying the same thing. Say, yeah, you will not forgive them, and it's to me, based off of even what y'all saying, it reminds me of what Mercy just brought out when he was talking about the retribution and the like what these quote unquote great people of this country did to us, and we didn't get paid back. They didn't pay us back their retribution or whatever the word he used. It's saying that at this point, from what I'm saying at this point that humankind will have bowed and man will have humbled himself. They would have humbled himself. Like right now, they're doing all this, praise Jesus and praise God, blah, 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 but yet they have not given back what is owed to what they have taken from us. So at this point, it said, don't forgive them. They have to pay back what they did. That's what I'm seeing.
Well, and implications on how it reads, you will not forgive them, or you do not forgive them, as far as what that TS is saying. You do not forgive them. That gives a different implication as far as you won't forgive them. Not somebody speaking and saying, don't forgive them for what they're doing. It's like that's more so of a request instead of a statement. You know what I'm saying? And it, just the renderings of it.
Saying?
You
Tell
know,
me what y'all saying, and then I'll tell you what I'm saying.
No, I'm saying the way the TS99, the way the TS99 is set up, and I don't know about the KJV, it makes it seem like in the lowly bow down, the highest humble. Therefore, you do not forgive them. All right.
So he's telling them
that's saying no. That says in the TS99, you don't forgive them. Not. And I'm talking about the way we read in English. I'm not talking about the way it's constructed in Hebrew. I'm talking about if I was the person to read English.
I'm asking you, what do you see it saying? That's what I'm asking. I want to know, what do you see it saying? That's what
I'm saying in the Hebrew it says it's more of a request. Do not forgive them. All right.
That's a request.
Unless, like I said, the forgive, right? The forgive, I have to see if that forgive has a you implied, because there's no you. Like, there's no, I don't see ata in there. So it might be an implication of that in the verb. That's why I have to look at it.
Therefore, forgive them not. I think that's a good.
Right, that's a commandment.
That's a better rendering.
That's a good, renderance, I think. So basically, like what I was kind of confused when you said you forgive them, or you, however you read it. That's why I asked you to reread it to me, because it kind of made me think like it was saying you won't forgive them, but it's more so like he's saying don't forget him. Like that's how I would say it. I'd be like, don't forget him. If I was the prophet, I'd be saying to the Most High, don't forget him. And that's what I see.
Let me ask you this question then. I'm trying to get, because we're going all around. I'm trying to say, what do you see it saying? Is it a commandment or is it a request? I need that answer, because if you tell me if it's a commandment or request, I can tell you what I'm saying this is saying. To me, this is saying this is a commandment. To me, it's not a request.
Let me go pull up my stones. Let me go now he's gonna go make me pull dust off the stones. Go see what the stones are saying real quick.
What do you say yours is saying? Is it a commandment or is it a request?
Let me go to it. Which
I ain't talking about the stones. That's what you just read. You just said, what did you read? When you read it, what did you think it said? That's what I'm asking. How about this? What does the Hebrew say? That can end all of it. And then,
Right, the Hebrew says, like, do not forgive them. Like, it's more of a request. But KJV renders it a little bit better,
I would say that I understand what Shema's saying with that's a command. But, I mean, the reason why we not saying a command, because you ain't finna command the Lord to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? But I understand what you're saying.
The Lord?
More so a request. Let's use the word request. More so of a request, not saying that it's going to be happening.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on. This is him talking to the Most High.
That's what I feel. Saying? He said, and the mean man bowed down, and the great man humbled himself. Therefore, forgive them not. That's what the KJV say. Enter into the rock.
Right,
is this Isaiah talking to the Most High?
The Most High. Yeah. Yeah, this is Isaiah talking to the Most High at this point.
You see him, that's him talking to the people. I mean, I'm up.
I don't see him talking
to any.
I'm about to read.
Hold on, before we move on, we're gonna get the overtime portion.
By the light.
Hold on.
Let me read this, y'all.
Hold on. Let me say this. We're about to hit the overtime portion in 3 minutes. If you listen online, 516-595-8238, because you have to go back and listen back after it's archived, and you won't be able to continue the conversation with us in the overtime portion. It's 516-595-8238. You have a little under 2 minutes, so they give you time to call in. And go ahead, Shema.
I'm reading verse 5 through 11, because I need to know who's being talked to. I'm just reading this. Because verse 1, first of all, says the prophecy that Isaiah, son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. Okay, then I want to go down to verse 5. We can read the whole thing if y'all want. But verse 5 says, O house of Jacob, come, let us walk by the light of Yah. For you have abandoned your people, the house of Jacob, because they were filled with sorcery. So this is talking about the Most High at this point, of the east and divinations, like the Philistines, and they content themselves with the children of foreigners. Its land became full of silver and gold with no end of its treasures. Its land became full of horses with no end to its chariots. Then its land became full of false gods. Each one of them bows to his own handiwork, to what his fingers have made. Humankind will have bowed, and man will have humbled himself, yet you will not forgive them. I don't know if that's a question. I don't know if that's a request. I think that's what he sees is going to happen. I think that's
he knows from his
right.
understanding.
I don't know. Like,
I don't think that's a request.
We're gonna have to parse that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
let's just do
I don't
that
think
and
that's
move forward.
But let me finish my statement real quick. My statement is what I'm saying is I don't believe that's now that I read it like that, I don't believe that's a request or even.
Yeah, but they got added words in there. I could tell you that right now.
Well, even I read the KJV or any version. The version that y'all read to me, I didn't look at that as a request or demand or.
All right, let me read the KJV real quick.
Read it from verse 5 all the way to 11.
Okay. O house of Jacob, come ye, let us walk in the light of the Lord. Therefore thou hast forsaken thy people, the house of Jacob, because they be replenished from the east, and are soothsayers like the Philistines, and they please themselves in the children of strangers. Their land also is full of silver and gold. There is there any end of their treasures. Their land is also full of horses, neither is there any end of their chariots. Their land also is filled of idols. They worship the work of their own hands, they which their own fingers have made. And the mean man bowed down, and the great man humbled himself. Therefore forgive them not.
Okay. I see what you're saying. I don't know, man. I got to go to eat. I'm going to have to go back to this. Parse this is what we need to do, like you said. Let's parse that. I don't know. These versions, boy. Whew. Okay.
Right, because the Psalms clearly says, yet you will not forgive them. And like I say...
That's future tense. First off, imperfect tense. And I got to see if that's actually imperfect tense. That would have seemed like
instead of a perfect tense, right? Therefore, forgive them.
Or
so it's a totally
if it's a command, then it would be imperative.
Right, right, exactly.
So explain.
And let me clear that up for a lot of people that don't understand what is being said with imperfect tense. Imperfect would mean that it's not complete, which would be future tense. And then imperative means it has to happen. Like this is what should happen. Like when you see shall do this, you should, or you have to do that. That's an imperative type of deal.
Or even if you say go, like go. If I tell you go, do something, that's imperative. I'm commanding you. I'm giving you a command.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then
so
imperfect
that's what they're saying with that.
Well, perfect is completed. Means it already happened. So, just so y'all know. I don't know if he said that. I know he said imperfect.
Right, I didn't get to that part. No, I didn't get to that part. Right. Perfect is completed. It already happened. So, simple words, and this is what we're saying, and this is this further more denotes how we're saying it. We have a whole discussion. We're having a whole disagreement on one word or a couple words. Okay?
Yeah. But once
you
we figure out that perfect,
right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You will not forgive them is a future tense, and it's saying that you won't do it. Like it's not going to happen. Instead of somebody having a conversation.
The whole being saved from your sins is out the window. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about right there. You will not forgive them. That's saying, hey, you ain't finna forgive nobody. Close the book. It's a wrap.
Let me comment on that real quick. Let me comment on that. If that be the case, that goes. Just say that's right. It could be wrong. I could be wrong. But just say that part of what y'all just said is right.
Could be.
Then I would look at it like this. I would look at it as though what happened with Dawid. Dawid was forgiven, but he still had to get what was owed to him for what he did. It goes into what mercy is saying. You kill somebody,
that goes against that. But see, that still goes against that turn away and I wash your sins as far as context. You know what I'm saying? Instead of somebody saying, "Hey, they out here tripping. They out here tripping." Don't forget them for what they doing. I know, man, like it's like me talking to the fathers, and I know they doing all this stuff. They out here talking bad. They out here acting bad. Don't forget them. Because every time you forget them, they keep doing the same stupid stuff. That could be that more so than saying, yeah, they're out here acting bad, doing what they're, and you ain't even gonna forgive them for they sin. You ain't gonna forgive them, meaning that they gonna ask for forgiveness. Like it's a whole total thing. Like you ain't gonna forgive them. It's more so of a it don't matter what you do.
That's exactly why I'm bringing up the David, y'all. I'm bringing up the context of the consistency of how he operated. With David, David was still the apple of his eye, forgiven from that standpoint. But in that moment of time of what he did, he had to pay for what he had done. He was not forgiven from a standpoint of, hey, don't worry about it. You killed her. I mean, you killed him, and you did this, but you could still live lavish. Nothing gonna happen to your kid. Nothing gonna happen to your kingdom. He still had to pay for what he did, but he was forgiven. So that's what my original point and what I was saying was this. At that particular moment, you have to pay for what it is. So I'm not going to forgive you at that moment. You have to pay for what you did. But you turned away, you are forgiven from a standpoint of you have a future. You know what I'm saying? Like you have a fresh start from a standpoint of, okay, I'm getting on one accord right now with the Most High from this point, but I still have to pay for what I did. It's kind of like in reality. Let's use reality real quick. You do something in reality right now, you go to jail for it. You pay your time. You come out, you have a fresh start. Well, you're supposed to have one. That was my point of what I was saying. That's how I take that verse. If it's the way that you did, y'all say it. That's all I
could feel. Because that means it's a whole nother definition of forgiving then. Because forgiving don't mean
hey man, we gotta move. We gotta go. We gotta move.
Yeah.
We gotta add this conversation later.
Right. So we'll get into that more.
Because of David. Because David is a perfect example to me. Mm-hmm.
I understand what you're saying. But the sword never left David's house. All right? That means that why are we even reading Isaiah, man? It's a wrap. Okay, in my eyes. But we're going to move on, and we'll get to this. This was a discussion that we could continue. Well, somebody could put this post up, you know what I'm saying, in the Talk One Talk Radio, and we can address this, you know what I'm saying, for public, and we can parse this one little section to see what it actually is saying. And it shouldn't even take that long. But
not at all.
It's y'all turn, and then we're going to go to then it's your chapter. I know I don't have much for chapter 3 myself. So we should be good on time. Mercy, hold on. Y'all get his section out.
All right, man. We took a lot of time, so I'm gonna make this very brief. I just wanted to say that where it say that the land was filled with treasures, horses, chariots, and idols, you know, between verse 7 and 8, it's talking about that. I was trying to figure out what was the issue with the land being filled with horses, chariots. I know the problem with idols, but treasures, horses, and chariots. So the only thing I could come up with was in Deuteronomy 17, 14 through 17, where he was talking about the king wasn't supposed to multiply horses and things of that nature, riches to itself or whatever. So I don't know if that coincides with what's being said here, but I was trying to figure out what the problem was with that. So maybe that's something that could be looked into a little bit later too. And then I think something that was key that wasn't brought up is, and I would like for both of y'all to read this from y'all renderings. The last verse. I'm going to read it from the KJV. It says, "Cease ye from man, whose breath is in his nostrils, for wherein is he to be accounted of?" That could be deep, depending on how you look at it or whatever, but it's just telling them to, like, stop looking towards man. That's kind of, I guess, what I got, but I'd love to hear y'all read it from the version y'all got, so we can get a collective idea, like Brother Mercy say, about reading from different versions. But that
mine says, verse 22, right? Withdraw from man who has breath in his nostrils, for with what is he deemed worthy?
All right. Yourself. What you got?
I had to switch versions because I was in the KJV for a second. Cease from man whose breath is in his nostrils, for in what he is to be reckoned upon. For what is he to be reckoned upon is a question at the end.
Right. That's what the KJV.
And what is he to be reckoned upon?
So, ultimately, what is out of those three versions or whatever? What are y'all getting from that? Me myself, I kind of guess I see that he's telling them, because he in 21 he said to go into the cliffs of the rocks and into the tops of the ragged rocks for fear of the Lord, which we know that's Yeshayahu, and for the glory of his majesty when he arise to shake terrible the earth. Cease ye from man. You know what I'm saying? Then it goes into that. So I see that, it's the issue going back to this whole king thing. Like, the king is leading them to do this. They trusting in man, and they not trusting in the Most High. And he's telling them that, look, when the Most High, you need to have fear of the Most High, which is Yeshayahu. You know what I'm saying? When he arise and shake terrible the earth, basically they clinging to man. They clinging to the king, doing what the king want to do. Even though they know what Torah say, they clinging to what he say do, which is worship these idols and all this stuff like that. And they not fearing the right, I guess you would say, person, for lack of a better term. And so I just say, from this is showing you who is really the king and who is really have the authority. And so, you need to cease from or turn from man, who is only a mortal being like you. They got breath in his nostrils, because, who is he? In this one, it say, is he to be accounted of? Which, that's worded kind of crazy. I'm trying to decode what that would actually mean, but I guess he can't account for you. Man cannot account for you. So you need to, let go of man and cling to the Most High. That's what I'm
Put
getting.
your trust in the Most High.
Give me y'all rendering or y'all thoughts.
Definitely. I agree.
Yeah, I can see it that way. It was something else you said. What was the first thing you said? I wanted to comment on it, but it lost my mind as soon as I got to focusing on this. I'm sorry. The first thing you said was something, too, and I wanted to just say something about that. You asked. Oh, man. What was the first thing you said?
Oh, you talking about the chariots and stuff?
Right. Okay, I just want to say something about that just real quick. Josiah, remember I was like, he slaughtered the horses that was dedicated to the sun? And I didn't understand what was that. Like, they dedicated horses to suns. If y'all remember, I was like, how did they dedicate these horses? Why he had to kill a horse? What the horse do? You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's it could play a part, too, because I know Josiah killed some horses dedicated to the sun because it was weird to me. So it's a possibility that they did some weird stuff with horses according to some other gods, too. But it could be also the Deuteronomy thing. I'm just throwing it out there as far as other possibilities. And I wanted to know just, I don't know if you answered it or not about, this verse being future tense, and does it seem to you that this will be a later on prophecy, and are you seeing messianic? Am I the one tripping, not seeing something that talks about someone to come to do this? Am I tripping? Because at one point I thought it was a messianic prophecy, but not recently. like as far as the last time I read it? That's a big question for me as far as, how you stand on that. Both of y'all. Because when you Google
is what
it,
I'm saying. If he's talking, like I said, there's no hidden camera. Somebody went back and wrote these stories. If he's talking directly to the people, this is a narrative, and he's talking to these people, it had to be somewhat within their generation. Dealing with
but no, not that, because I can't say that, because in his generation they go into captivity, so some of them never saw this piece.
But I'm talking about the forgiveness
peace
thing, though. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, you saying? But I don't know. I ain't seen them turn. They never turned away from. As far as the king stories, Hezekiah, all that stuff. Maybe in Hezekiah day. We'll see. That's why I'm asking you. Did you see this stuff take place? Because we read through them king stories. So if you've seen this take place in a king story, it'll still be in context. And all you would be doing is directing us back to first or second Kings where this happened. If that's the case, we should be able to see that.
Well, all I'm seeing really in verse 2 is judgment. That's what I'm getting. Like he's saying he about to judge them. That's all I'm seeing there. You know what I'm saying? As far as now with the establishment of the mountain that's read in the beginning of it, like I can't say that I saw that, no. But what I can say though is that at one point there was peace with Solomon, so to say. Nobody and people was coming to Solomon and giving him treasure and money and stuff like that. But I can't really pinpoint it right now. I just want to just keep going and then see what it could possibly be, get more details on it, because all this stuff hadn't happened yet. It's just like saying what's going to happen and all that. So it's probably more details as we keep going, and then I could probably pinpoint, oh, yeah, I remember that happening or whatever. But as of right now, no. I can't say that. I can't make a decisive claim.
Okay. That's all I was just seeing, because like I said, I don't see nothing as far as like what people say it meant.
And no, I don't see no messianic. Like I said, it was talking about the mountain or whatever. It just said it will be established. It's not pinpointing one specific person who's going to do the establishing. It just says the mountain will be established. People going to come and say, hey, or say to each other, let's go. And then when it talks about being taught, we see in the context that Yod-He, Waw-He is being used right there. So, but we also know that the Most High uses various people to do his work. So when people say we're going to be taught and the law going to come from, it's talking about it's coming out of two different places too. It's talking about one is going to be on the mountain, and then the word is going to come from Jerusalem. So I'm kind of seeing two different locations, one being, I guess the house of the Lord is on top of the mountain, is going to be put on top of this mountain, and then Jerusalem is like the gathering place or whatever. So,
and it can also be a figurative of speech too. I mean,
right.
It's just something to take into account too. The poetic language. It's all poetic language. It could be a figure of speech that's basically saying that it's going to come from Israel or his people or something along that line. We just don't know. All I'm saying at this point in time, I don't see what a lot of people have said. I don't see that right off top. So, you know what I'm saying? I guess I'm pushing forward from there, and I just was seeing what did y'all see from it. Has this happened in history? So if you haven't seen it happen, have we not read on it, or you can't remember that we read on it, now we're still pushing forward. That's where I'm standing at that. And as we push forward, we look for this. You know what I mean? That's, we look for that. All right.
For sure. Got Brother Mercy in the queue. Shema up next with this last chapter to go through.
Brother Mercy,
hello,
live.
brothers. Yeah, hello, brothers. I love the discussion. And like Joseph said, we're going to have to change our definition of forgiveness. And because the Sunday church has done a terrible job, of explaining it. Like if I go walk into the Walmart and grab a bottle of orange juice and I walk out without paying for it, hey, look, I'm stealing. So, hey, you can't just ask for forgiveness and you don't pay for your sins. I mean, the Torah don't teach that. And what I want to talk about real quick, I'll be quick about this. Yeshua tells a story about a king and a servant, and I think it's applicable to this because sometimes we need stories to understand what's going on. He talked to the king, and that's in Matthew chapter 18. I'm just going to read one verse. The king, the servant asks the king for, he begs for mercy. The king forgives him, but the servant, before the king forgives him and cancels his debt, the servant says, "Have pity on me. I will pay you every cent I owe." Then the next verse, the king felt sorry for him and let him go free. The part people forget is what the servant said before the king forgave him, and that's he's going to pay him back everything he owed him. Now, if I pay back everything you owe, if I pay back everything I owe to the king, then the king will forgive me. That's what I learned from this story. So, I wanted to say about forgiveness, there will be no forgiveness if you don't pay back what you owe. Because if you don't pay what you owe, that makes you a thief. Because the law says not only thou shalt not murder, but it also says thou shalt not steal. And so what I see is...
that's kind of deep now that you say that, because I'm sitting here thinking, like, these sacrifices they was bringing, that was something they had to give to get forgiveness. So I've never seen a concept of not giving anything back in forgiveness. Even when you ask for forgiveness, like there has been like, baby, I won't do it again. There's something that goes along with, okay, I forgive you. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead, Brother Mercy. I'm listening.
When I was a kid and my dad told me to do something and I was disobedient and I begged and pleaded my dad, "Dad, I'm so sorry." My dad would say, "Son, I love you and I forgive you, but this is going to cost you." This is going to cost you, son. So what I wanted to say is that a lot of people think there's forgiveness without punishment. And people don't understand a punishment is attached to forgiveness. Like if I get into a car accident, I hit your car, and I damage your vehicle, and I say, "Jedi, I'm so sorry for busting out your light and messing up your bumper and taking the crowbar and busting your windshield. I'm so sorry about that, Jedi." Jedi may say, "Well, Brother Mercy, can I get your insurance information?" Well, just say your insurance company. This is the process of forgiveness. And maybe after my insurance pays for his vehicle, and maybe after my insurance company rectifies the situation, then maybe Jedi may be in a position, he may say, after he fixed my car and restored it back to his position, I just might forgive Brother Mercy. He's in a better position to forgive. So I think there has to be retribution, like Shema stated so eloquently, attached to forgiving. This is the part that the Sunday church, is not teaching us, and that is the retribution portion of forgiveness. Like the story Yeshua says, the king forgave him, yes, but he forgave him only after the servant promised to pay back every cent. And if you if you understand it that way, that will make you not want to sin. What if I told you that every sin you commit, you got to pay back every penny of it? What if Brother Mercy told you that? What if Brother Mercy told you that any sin you commit...
That's going to throw out an unmerited favor right there, Brother Mercy.
Oh, no, it won't. No, it won't. Because you want to know why? No, you want to know why it won't? Because the Most High will forgive you, but He's going to require something of you. Yes, it's unmerited favor. You know why it's unmerited? Because I don't have to forgive. You don't have to forgive anyone. But making retribution makes forgiveness possible. You see what I'm saying? It makes reconciliation possible. That's what Brother Mercy is trying to say. But the person is not obligated
We're going to get to
you.
that, Brother Mercy, because I know, and I'm not speaking for myself right now. I'm just speaking as an advocate for others because I know what other people will say, But we don't want to spend too much time right here, but as we move forward, especially when we get to that Brit Kadash Shah, we definitely going to have to deal with that mindset.
Yeah, but I only want to say real quick, and I'm almost done, Judah has to make retribution for their sin, and what the Most High is saying is that you're not going to build an altar and offer some lambs and think that's going to cover up what you've done. He's not going to accept that right now. They got to do something different. That's all I want to say.
Amen. I'm going to take you out the queue real quick, and you know the drill. All right, Brother Shema, you have the floor.
All right, I'm going to make this, it's not going to be long. I just got about 25 points. No, I'm playing. All right, so verse 1. And it's rendered in the version I'm reading. It says, "For behold, the Lord, Yah, Master of Legions, is removing from Yerushalayim and from Yehuda support of men and support of women, every support of bread and every support of water." We know that this is due to sin. And I think that in going in connection of what we've just been talking about, the payment for the sin that we commit. I know we're going to go back into that in the future, but I think this is why we should flee away from it. Because when we flee away from it, this very thing that the Lord, or Adonai, Yah, Master of Legions, this removing from Jerusalem and from Judah support men and support of women, the support system that He is for us will stay intact if we don't flee from sin, according to what sin is scripturally. That's that great support system that we have from Him. It fades away. We'll go down to verse 4. "I shall make youngsters their leaders, and mockers will rule them." I shall make youngsters their leaders, and mockers will rule them. This is a result of the Most High removing Himself from us due to our sin, right? Due to their sin. This is a result of what I guess we can find out. This sounds like it is. Is it removing from? I gotta go see. I have to go to the Hebrew. That's what I'm gonna start doing more often too. Have the Hebrew there. So I don't know if it's imperative or if it's shall. I shall make. So that would make it imperative, right? I shall make youngsters their leaders, and mockers will rule them. So what's interesting about this is if y'all was to think about it, what happens when you allow young folks, for the most part anyway, to lead without experience or without spiritual wisdom? It's destruction. It's a reason why He's saying, you know what, I'm going to put the youngsters ahead. And we're going to see that later. We see that today in the truth too, but just in connection to this context, it's the reason He said, I'm going to put them ahead. I'm going to put them ahead of everybody. When we go down to verse 5, it says, "People will be oppressed, man by man and man by his fellow. They will domineer, the youngster over the elder, and the base over the respectable." So
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
So, well, it's a question for everybody, really. But as you reading this, because we trying to, like yourself said, come from a perspective of, knowing that we read Kings. Is this something that you feel like we read in Kings? Because it was some pretty young cats that was kings.
Right.
Like some 9-year-olds. You know what I'm saying? Like, could that be related to that? That's my question.
That was a failure in the system, right? To me, you answered that question. You know what I'm saying? That, like, them youngsters, I mean, that's what I said for the most part, because we saw Josiah was young too. But, yeah, those youngsters, we saw how the Most High was getting further and further away due to their wickedness. That's what he calls, I believe. He calls, we see that these youngsters was kings, and they was turning more wicked, and they was causing Israel to do, more wickedness or commit more sin. So I think it is. I think it is a connection right there. I don't know if that's what you was asking, but I think
that's what I was asking. Because we, like he
Mm-hmm.
said, we just trying to identify some of the things we read in Kings, like that actually happened. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's just, the reality in it, what I was bringing out reality-wise is, having these youngsters, that's out of order. To rule over the elder, to rule over these that was well seasoned in wisdom or spiritual wisdom or whatnot. I mean, it's going to be destruction. So I see him doing this for a purpose, for a reason, and I want to go down to, and it leads, and what do we see? It leads to, what do you say, oppression. And I guess we're going to see that as we continue, with them, with Yeshayahu. All right, so when I go down to verse 10, I want to go down to verse 10. And it reads, tell each righteous man that it is good, for they shall eat the fruit of their deeds. But woe to the wicked person who does evil, for the recompense of his hands will be dealt to him. So this is nothing major, but what I wanted to show is a couple things. One, we see that they are righteous men. Tell the righteous man that it is good, for they shall eat the fruit of their deeds. So, righteous men, I've said this leading up to this point, the belief of the modern Christianity today believes that no one is righteous, So, this is another one to bring out. The other one I wanted to bring out was this kind of leads in what I was trying to bring out in chapter 1, verse 27. In chapter 1, let me see, I think chapter 1, verse 27. Zion will be redeemed through justice, and those who return to her through righteousness. So what I was bringing out or trying to point with this is we see that he's putting a red flag, good red flag though, on the term righteous. And he's saying that they will be redeemed through being righteous, right? So he's saying right here, what I'm seeing is tell each righteous man that it is good, for they shall eat the fruit of their deeds. So it's a deed. Their deeds is what identify them as being righteous, which goes into what Yeshayahu and mercy. Yosef may have said it too when it talks about in chapter 2, or was it chapter 1? The washing yourselves, changing, that change is what's going to redeem them. So I want to go down to verse 12. Now, this is something. Verse 12 says this, in what I'm reading. It says, my people, their oppressors are mockers, and women dominate them. My people, their oppressors are mockers, and women dominate them. Now, as I was reading and studying these 3 chapters, my perspective on it is a little different than what people in the truth, how they teach it. Though it can still be related a little bit. What I mean by that is this. So it says in KJV, I believe it says rule over them. I'm not sure. From my memory, I think it says rule over them. But it says dominate them, right? Why do the women rule over them? That's the question. And what I'm seeing is just say what if it's more so that, okay, let me use some reality. I know we're trying to stay contextual, but I'm gonna take some notes or take a example from how Mercy did. You got to try to make it relatable. When you think of society today, and you think of men or men for the most part, and women, but for the most part men, young ones at that. What are they trying to do? What do we try to do as men? I ain't talking about the people that's, of Elohim, of God, but I'm talking about just for the most part. They try to please women. They try to, after their lust, after lusting after women. We lust after women so much. Think of all the music. Think of everything that we're dealing with. Our logic goes away. We don't think properly. We're not really functioning or operating in the way that the Most High wants us to. We allow their influence from a standpoint of, and I'm gonna bring, once we go down, you'll see where I'm getting at. This is not towards every woman. This is not a gender bias type of message I'm putting out either. You're gonna see what I'm saying when I continue reading. But it's that sense of you're losing that higher self. You're not connected with the Most High in the sense that we're just really trying to please women. Okay, so what if that was the case right here? When it says that, verse 12, where am I at? Oh, that's chapter 3, verse 12. My people, their oppressors, are mockers, and women dominate them. I don't think it's from a standpoint of ruling over, but then again, it is. It is. We can allow them to have that sense of rulership because of the fact that we were wanting to please and our lust is taking over us. Okay. I think I had put a post earlier about that. I said the body survives due to every piece performing its divine role. So if we are focused more so on the Most High versus the lust of pleasing a woman for women, and if the women are focused on their divine role, they won't be, I guess you could say, immoral in a sense. Now let's go down to verse, I'll get to that. It's in verse 16 and 17, but we're going to go to 13. Just let that sit on you for a minute. 13 to 15, it's basically speaking on the elders neglecting and robbing, the poor of his people, not demonstrating right ruling. I think y'all speaking on that in his chapter. And then we go down to verse 16. This will kind of bring out what I'm trying to say. It might have, my message probably wasn't conveying properly, and I apologize if that's the case. But it says, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, walking with outstretched necks and winking eyes is what mine say, walking with dainty steps, jingling with their feet. Therefore the Lord will afflict the heads of the daughters of Zion with legions, and Yah will bear their private parts. I don't want to go too far into that, but what verse 16 brought out to me is this: when you have these beautiful women, we saw that to be the fall with Shimshon. We saw that to be that has been the fall for every great
or great man. You know what I'm saying? A beautiful woman. But if that's your main focus and you're lusting after that, then you're going to be dominated. You're going to be ruled over the lust of a woman. So that's what I'm looking at, and that's what I'm trying to bring out with verse 12. This isn't to say every woman is X, Y, and Z. This isn't to say every man is X, Y, and Z. This is specifically talking about this particular verse in comparison or in connection with verse 16. And that's why I got from that. Now I want to go down to my last point. My last point is verse 26. Verse 26, it says, her doorways will lament and mourn. She will be wiped out. She will sit on the ground. Now, who is the her? Who is the her? I believe this would be personification for Zion. And this is similar to what I was trying to bring out in chapter 1, verse 6, with the personification of the hymn. If I'm not mistaken, I believe me, Yah, and yourself agreed on the plurality of that poetic verse. So if I'm just showing the poetry within the way that Isaiah is speaking, agreeing on what Yah was saying. This is how he was speaking. So we have to understand that this is the very first 3 chapters. He's already being very poetic. He's already demonstrating personification. He's already called Israel a him and a her. So I think we need to take these things in consideration as we go forward, and that's all I have.
Good stuff, Shema. I'll just only say just a couple things as far as just a couple points. Just 2, I think. The very first verse says, "For look, the master while of hosts is turning aside from Jerusalem and from Judah the stock and the store, all the supply of bread and supply of water." This is once again, this is a warning before it actually happened, when he did turn away from them. And this is the things that Isaiah is telling them. I wanted to bring up what the Most High said. He said that I warned you through my servants, the prophets. Okay? Before he actually went and did this stuff. Okay, or whatever's going on. Basically, I'll say it like that. So, with that being said, this is one of them servants, and he's a prophet, that he warned them about. Hold on, I was going to find it real quick if I could. And basically, we're seeing the warnings. That's kind of where I was going with that. And I didn't have too much else. And why he's I could find it later, because I remember saying it. When Most High would say, "Hey, look, I sent my prophets to warn you, my servants, the prophets," and Isaiah was one of those people that warned them. We can see that right here. That was my whole point of bringing it up, because of the time change. That's it. I'll hear the flow. Yeah.
All right. So I really don't have too much. I just want to put everything in perspective, far as everything that we kind of went over, concluding with chapter 3. So far, we've dealt with only, is what I can see, is Yeshayahu, Isaiah, speaking directly to Yehuda concerning Yerushalayim, because we know that is Yehuda's territory. That's where their kingdom was set up. Because we know that Shlomo or Solomon is from the house of Yehuda. He's David's son. So we know that we're dealing with that kingdom. And it seems to be that I haven't heard anything about the kingdom of Israel concerning any judgment, because I believe when we put kings together with this and we try to mirror and gauge a timeline, Israel, when we read in Kings, had already been taken into captivity. And we saw that there was a remnant of Yehuda still left, but they was about to get judged. So I kind of see it as this is going over that time period when, because we also read at the very last chapters where Nebuchadnezzar was coming in. So I think this is a little bit before that actually happened, and it's going into that. I could be wrong, but we'll see as we keep going. And I just want to make sure we stay in context of that and make sure. And then another thing I want to speak on is my last thing about what Shema was saying. We've seen a her being spoken of, and we've seen a him as far as personification. But this is a little Hebrew note. So countries and towns are considered feminine regardless of their form. Also, most nouns referring to body parts that come in pairs, so like hands, are feminine. Hands, the word hands is feminine in Hebrew. It has a opt sound at the end for the plural form, which is a plural pronominal suffix, regardless of the ending. So even though it may end in a masculine, it's still, because we deal with gender agreement. So the verb and noun or subject and verb agreement. So that's maybe a little heavy for some of y'all. I'm not sure, but I'm just dealing with grammar. So if you're familiar with Hebrew grammar, fine. If you're not, then, and this is kind of too much for you, then let me know. But I'm just sharing some things. So when we see that personification is based off of the gender of, like it said, so Jerusalem, we know that's the land, right? So that would be feminine. So that's where it talks about Zion, Jerusalem is personifying it as a feminine thing. So because it is a feminine noun. So, and then Israel, when they talked about them, or Yehuda, it could be where you see the he and all that stuff. So just keep that stuff in mind as we move forward. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, I want to add to that. I'm glad you put that out. Hopefully y'all remember that as we continue through Yeshayahu or Isaiah. And I want to ask y'all a favor real quick. I know we're about to do our closing remarks. I know yourself is going to close us out, I believe, prayer or whatever, I don't know. But, hey, man, Jeff just came on. I think he's been on for a minute. I'm not sure. I don't know, but I don't think he heard. The what's the name? The new. My proposal is let's play it one more time, y'all. It's 3 minutes. That's all I got. I know we never did that before, but hey, just this one time, play everything and told us the Hebrew speaking, the mission statement, all that good stuff. I don't have any closing remarks either.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. I think I missed something. You talking about tell Jeff how it was or what?
No, play it. At the end, it's 3 minutes. I'm sacrificing my closing remarks because I don't have any.
You're covered. Okay, I'll just say thank y'all everybody for tuning in. If you came in late, just go back and listen to the beginning. It was very good. There's a lot of stuff came out, especially in 1 and 2. just getting in context of things, just trying to get a finger on things and not trying to jump too much forward. We're going to continue again, same bat channel, same bat time next week. Shalom, and hope to see y'all next week. That's my closing remarks.
I just want to say, man, this was very challenging. I'm being transparent right now. This was very challenging. Trying to parse throughout the week with everything else going on, just to make sure stuff is in the proper tense and all this stuff like that. It is not easy. Once you get to a level of dealing with the Hebrew, it is very time consuming, and I understand why people shy away from dealing with the Hebrew. But as you all can see, there's a lot of things that you're going to catch that you're not going to catch reading from a particular version. My question to the listeners and also the panel, I'm probably going to make a poll or something. Do you appreciate the breaking down of the Hebrew? Do you like it better for me to just generalize and go over some of the Hebrew stuff in my presentation, or would you rather me just select a version and do it that way? Because if you're not getting nothing out of me doing all this, I'm finna stop. Because it is, I'm telling you, when I say it's consuming and a headache, it is. I'm not lying to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm only going to give you the truth, and that's the truth of the matter. And I'm doing it for myself. Don't get me wrong. I'm doing it for myself. But at this pace that we going, it is very time consuming. It's something I can go back and look over, you know what I'm saying, for myself. But if y'all feel like it's necessary, y'all like what, you know, is being brought to the table, I will continue doing it for the sake of the listeners. But for myself, I can get it when I can get it, if you dig what I'm saying. So that is, you know, my closing. I thank everybody for tuning in, and that's all I have.
I appreciate the thing. Like I want to co-sign. Man, it's a lot. I was sitting down and called this man this morning. I asked him questions about certain stuff, but I'm just giving that feedback, and we can move forward. So I'm gonna play the intro at the outro, and therefore that's gonna be the prayer and everything. And this is for, you know, Brother Jeff. He didn't get a chance to. I don't think nobody heard it. So here we go. And after that, I'll close out the show.
World second premiere, y'all.
Shalom, Lekulam. Peace to everyone. Welcome to the Reset Button Season 3. This season, we welcome the listener to join us while we journey through Isaiah, one of the most controversial books in the Word. We would like to accomplish understanding of the salvation of Israel mentioned. Is it one spoken of in the New Testament? Is it someone we're waiting on? Or is it in the past? Walk through this with us as we attempt to uncover this mystery. The call-in number is 516-595-8238. And press 1 at any time that you have questions or that you would like to leave a comment. Our collective email is histaught1talkradio@gmail.com. Our Facebook page is His Taught Ones and His Taught Ones Talk Radio. We also have the YouTube page at His Taught Ones Talk Radio. Subscribe, and we'll be posting our episodes every week. Shalom, and have a good show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another season of His Taught Ones. Talmidim, yo, here we go, back at it again. You did yourself, Shema and some friends. We learned hard through better sheets, the Melachim, now fresh start. what is hot. I never yin, yeah. Here come the prophets, they're dropping some knowledge, abolishing doctrines, apology nonsense. They bring the word, you can call them the pinpoint, given by the hand of the head, he is the pinpoint. Yeah, or could it be it's another? So many distances from the children, it's a misnomer. Honestly, the aroma is hideously unbearable. There is no one accord. How dare we say that we're hearing you?
Hakidosh Yisrael, Holy One of Israel, Anachnu modim lecha al yom nosaf we al milah. We thank you for another day and for your word. Barech bivakasha et ha-mifkash hazeh. Please bless this gathering. Bo'u nishmiah. Let us say Amen. Amen.